This week we addressed the fuel subsidy. It's not by happenstance that you see me my sleeves all rolled up. And I hope you're visiting filling stations and helping us work this difficulty. This is probably the most challenging issue since I took over as GMD and Minister of Petroleum. And the reality is a lot of us, even within the company, do not know why this is so. And so for those who don't know, I will first go through why you have this situation. First, on resumption in August, we had a very major problem in our hands because subsidies, 500 billion, close to 600 billion, hadn't been paid for a very one-year period. And so the majors and everybody who was importing, the DAPMA members, the MOMAN members, had begun to very quietly reduce the levels of importation that they had. And although I struggled very hard and got the Assembly approval and the President's approval to eventually pay a good portion of that subsidy somewhere in November, by then it was too late. Too late because although they got the money, they didn't have access to foreign exchange. So the critical reason, main critical reason why you have this supply gap today is that although NNPC has its own 445,000 barrels allocation of crude and is meeting its own, it was meant to meet 50% of your delivery, and it is more than meeting but indeed exceeding that, the individuals who should provide the balance of the 40% component are not bringing any product. And so we've had to be very creative over the last 4 or 5 months until we basically ran out of option. And the sort of creativity that we put in the space was forward buying, forward purchase, forward crude allocations, also just to bring in more products. Because we saw NNPC transit from a 40%, 45% provider to suddenly an 80%, and then by this month, really, almost 100% provider of petroleum products in Nigeria. That was not sustainable. We didn't have the capacity, we didn't have the funding, we didn't have access to the products, we didn't have the foreign exchange. So in very many ways, it's surprising that we've even been able to survive this long. So the key element has been, how do you find foreign exchange for those who eagerly want to participate in the stream, who have been doing this traditionally to get into the space, buy their products, come in, distribute. That's something we've had to work on. Of course, the second problem was incessant pipeline disruptions. Literally, if you look at the statistics of this year versus last year, we've had almost 2 times the number of pipeline interventions and destructions that we've had over the last 2-3 years in this year. And that's for example, that's for us is very disturbing. Now, we've thrown a couple of ideas on this. The first thing that I've tried to do is, for the first time in this country, I've been able to convince the upstream companies to provide some FX buffer over the next 1 year for those who are bringing in products. And so I've tied Total upstream to Total downstream, Mobil upstream to Mobil downstream, Ajip, ENI to Oando, Shell to Conoil, and things like that. It's been very innovative. It's putting $200 million of FX availability out into the space. It's taken a lot of goodwill. It's taken a lot of work from me. The second thing we've done is that I've had to box my way through the CBN to get a little bit of allocation, because we provide the bulk of this foreign exchange. We should have a bit of it to help stabilize the situation. Because foil Q, not make any mistake about it, it doesn't matter what we achieve in our transformational agenda, it's the single most difficult item, which if not solved, can bring down the polity and can create a mayhem here. So it's something that we're focused on. So I've been able to get a bit of cooperation for CBN on that. Now, I've also been able to convince Mr. President to give us access, to some other than the 445 barrel from national production. The difficulty with that, of course, you and I know, is that it goes into the FAC entity. So once you touch any barrel there, you're going to have governors, understandably, quarrel with you on this. But these are some of the innovative solutions we've done. We've thrown creative options at the pipelines by appointing a set of trial by contracting contractors to get into the pipelines and show us that they can deliver if we give them the contract. The event, what that has done was that for the first time in over 8 years, we've been able to capture back system 2B all the way to Ilorin. For the first time in over 6 years, we've been able to now we're able to pump crude from Escravos into Warri, and we're able to pump oil from Brass into Port Harcourt, and we're able to pump from Warri right into Kaduna with a few skirmishes here and there. This is the first time in over 10 years that we've been able to accomplish this. We've accomplished it by not spending money, but owing obligations. Now, we're going out to the stage now of contracting, where we're going to advertise this and see how we can put this as permanent features into the system. So a huge amount of work has been going on in this stream. Our depots, we're at the stage right now of looking at policies geared towards advertising our depots and our pipelines for purposes of contracting joint ventures that will put in money, refurbish depots that have been abandoned for upwards of a decade, so that we can have the distributional infrastructural network that we need to be able to solve this. Because it's not enough just to bring in the cargoes, which we are now beginning to do. But if you bring the cargoes and they arrive in Lagos, if you have to send 3,000 trucks around the whole country, it takes an average of 4 to 7 days to do that. And the very next day, you're back to the same thing. So the sheer logistics nightmare is not what NNPC was set up to do. So we need to be able to get those pipelines back, get the depots functioning, push a lot of the responsibility to the major oil companies who are basically leaving us to do all the work and picking up the profit at the end of the tunnel. So it's been a very difficult work, very challenging. We're getting to the solutions. The first few cargoes are beginning to come in, and I think by the second week of April, like I said, we should be hopefully out of this queue situation. But that is not a long-term solution. The long-term solution is that we'll have to try through private initiatives to the downstream. We've got to have a situation where we create enough policy direction such that people can get in there and actually do the business. We can take care of our own filling stations, NNPC stations, and perhaps some of the affiliates that are going to be with us. But that is a job we've done and done well, and we can do better. We can go into growing the affiliate stations even more, so that we have a lot more affiliate stations that we can use as a response in security situations. But ultimately, the business must go back to where it belongs, which is the private sector, not the public sector. And until we do that and deal with the issue of pricing, which our price modulation has helped us manage, but not quite completely, we're not going to solve the problem. Now, how do you come in? Get out into the filling stations, be a proud NNPC official, help regulate traffic, help push product, help report scams that are going on in depots by even our own officials, help talk about the change, help talk about the problems, be the spokespeople for your own company, help create ideas, help suggest ways in which we can find lasting solutions to this. And if we do that collectively, every one of us contributing a piece, at the end of the process, people will remember the difficulties, but they will also remember an NNPC that was united in the solution to this problem. At the end of the day, it's not all about me. It's actually about you. Have a nice weekend.